guest is the chief foreign affairs correspondent for NBC News. She's also just written a book entitled Talking Back to Presidents, Dictators, and Assorted Scoundrels. Please welcome Andrea Mitchell. How are you?
Great. I was backstage with the raccoon, though. I don't know.
Yeah. We have the weirdest backstage scene going on of any show.
And
there's always
stage.
on stage is strange, too, but backstage there's always weird animals flying around and people dressed as, you know, naked coal miners and...
Sort of like the White House these days.
Exactly. There's a lot of weird stuff, and we'll get to that. First of all, if you don't mind, I want to ask you a little bit about your personal life, which I find fascinating. You're married to Alan Greenspan, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, and I'm just curious about so many things. First of all, I think we have he's an attractive fellow. Let's take a look here. We have a picture here. Similar. That's how you felt when you first saw him.
I mean, look how hot he is.
Look how hot he is. When you first saw him, you heard that music. How did you two meet?
Well, I was covering the Reagan White House. Mm-hmm. He was an economist here in New York. And I was trying to get answers to trickle-down economics mm-hmm. and how you could triple the spending on defense and still cut taxes.
Sure.
And so I called him for advice. He was a source. And so I talked to him about economic theory, and what can I tell you?
Sounds pretty passionate.
Very passionate.
So you're saying then that if we cut taxes, I love you. Did you?
It's who made Washington romance.
Yeah. Who made the first move?
Clearly he did.
Yeah. But did he? I'm saying, did he? How did he ask you out? I mean, you have this official.
Well, here's the problem. Have you ever watched him testify?
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't understand what he was saying.
So he's actually trying to ask you out.
He was trying to ask me out. In fact, he, as I wrote in the book, he claims that he proposed marriage 3 times before I understood what he was saying.
Right, because there's probably a lot of other numbers and statistics in there.
It had all to do with, you know, M1s and M2s and monetary targets.
Now, I'm curious about something. Have you ever been in a situation, you're married now, have you ever been in a situation, just be honest here, it's very late at night, no one will see this, do you ever, like, look at an apartment or a house and you really want to buy it, but the interest rates are a little high, and you call your husband and say, could you lower them for a day?
A little bit.
Just for a day. No one will notice it, and then you get the place?
In fact, I've tried to do that. Obviously, what's the point of being married to Alan Greenspan
sure,
if you can't get them
if you can't get that? Don't worry, I'll have the interest rates lowered and done.
Once again, I still don't understand what he's saying.
Right.
So it's a problem.
Now, you talk about you've been doing this for a while and long enough to actually have favorite hair phases and least favorite hair phases. What was your least favorite hair phase?
I think the 80s. The 80s were really bad hair.
Bad for all of us, I think, in fairness.
You know, some of us haven't quite grown out of it, but... No.
Man, first you and The Rock? Well, you're not wrong.
No.
But we actually, you went through a phase where you had what you call Republican helmet hair. Is that right?
Yeah, it was sort of big and hard, and it eliminated the need for headgear.
All right, let's take a look at this photo. This is actual... there you go. That's kind of... that's a style that's gone now, but it will come back. I think we also have a photo of Alan Greenspan during that same period. Could we take a look at that just very quickly? There he is.
I think it's definitely
that music's going to follow him wherever he goes now. You're very good at what you do. One of the reasons that people feel that way is that you are not afraid to ask very tough questions at times when other people would be intimidated. What's a situation where you actually felt like, I might be in real trouble here? I may have crossed a line.
Well, there was a time in Damascus with the former President Assad. You know, the current President Assad is very much in the news. Bad guy. A lot of people say he had a lot to do with some political assassinations. His father, not a nice guy either, dictator. I asked him why he was still supporting terrorism. And the next thing I knew, 2 guys were picking me up by the elbows and carrying me out of the room. The problem was he was answering the question. And Bill Clinton, sitting next to President Assad, was doubled over laughing because he said later, it was the first time anyone had ever shut me up.
Really? And so happily. First of all, I love that our president is laughing while reporters getting bum rushed out of the room.
Can you really blame him the way some people treated him?
But it is funny. Like it's something we just take for granted here. We've never seen that, and you know that a reporter can be physically removed from the room. Were you physically injured? Were you?
No. In that case, I was just lifted up, and
Right.
I didn't say anything because he was answering. Assad was answering,
Sure.
and I didn't want to louse up the photo op. So
Right.
I just could have kept my mouth shut. Got taken out. More recently, there was an incident in Sudan in July. I was there with Condoleezza Rice.
I remember this. This is
And
well known.
That was bad.
Right.
Because I was asking the leader of Sudan why they were still murdering women and children, and you know, we had plenty of evidence that his regime was still helping. And at that point, they dragged me out of the room.
Right. And actually, I believe, wasn't Condoleezza Rice there at the time?
She was there. She was great. She was really stand-up, and she demanded an apology.
Right.
You know, by the time we flew out of the country, they had apologized, and then the minute we left their airspace, they put out a statement saying that it was really my fault because the reporter in question was clearly drunk.
Time to clear that up. You were not. I have to ask you, we don't have a lot of time. Karl Rove, I believe, has testified 4 times?
4 times.
For this grand jury?
There's still going to be, we're now told, NBC News was told today that Monday and Tuesday they're going to bring more people back. We don't know exactly who. More questions, not before the grand jury, but to try to clear things up. We don't know if there are going to be indictments.
This is a very
It's a
hard...
heavy-duty thing.
This is a very... It's almost impenetrable, this scandal. It's very tricky to figure out. Do you have a feeling one way or the other? Do you believe that he may be indicted, or there's just... It's impossible to say?
I don't know if it's going to be Rove, but I think there will be some indictments. And it sounds impenetrable, but what it's really about is that whole fight over whether we should have gone to war and whether this was just political hardball by the people who felt Saddam had weapons and they wanted to sell their case, or whether they actually broke the law and outed CIA agent and potentially endangered other people. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, well, time will tell. Talking back to presidents, dictators, and assorted scoundrels, there's a lot of great stuff in here. It's in stores now. Thanks so much for making time for us. Yeah. Come back, see you soon. Andrea Mitchell, everybody. Rick Ocasek coming up. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.